With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of discovering the last donut.
Ooh.
And it has your name on it, literally, in chocolate sprinkly things.
No way.
Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
And good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of Golic and Wingo. Glad you are starting your day with us. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic, and Mike Golic Jr. here. Fellas, how are we?
Doing well.
Ready to roll?
Yeah.
Ready to rock.
Whole lot. Maybe not as much as to talk about as yesterday, but still plenty of new things and a little bit of aftermath from yesterday as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got a lot to get to. Got some great guests coming up. Tiger Woods returns to action today. Lots to get into there. Michael Collins will join us to talk about that. We have also Stu Gotts joining us from the Dan Le Batard Show. He'll join us at 8:05 Eastern. Adam Schefter from our great NFL Insider team will join us. Week 13 starts tonight. Cowboys and Redskins. And the Color Rush uniform controversy around Washington.
The real Adam Schefter, by the way, not the fake Twitter account that got a lot of people with that fake New York Giants news yesterday.
Correct, including myself, because I saw our Jim Trotter retweeted it, and I was like,
oh,
Jim.
no. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know the fake Shefty got you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's Jim Trotter. It was Jim Trotter that got me. Yeah. It was Jim Trotter that got me, and then I had to take care of that.
Sounds like a lot of deflecting.
It is, but I'm running with that deflection and staying with it. Damian Woody will join us, and Jamel Hill will join us in the final half hour of the show. Lots to get to today, but we do want to acknowledge something that happened here at ESPN yesterday.
Yes.
150 people did lose their jobs. Guys that I have worked with for more than the 20 years that I've been here. A lot of really talented people walked out the door. And our thoughts are with them as they begin their new adventure. But it was a difficult day here yesterday.
Oh, without a doubt. The world I lived in before this, and Mike lived in before this, and we both were part of this happening in our world of being cut and losing your job and either going to another team or a career being over. It's a tough thing, especially when you get to know people, and certainly here. You and I, Trey, have been here a long time. We've gotten to know a lot of these people for a long time, and it's, unfortunately, it's business, but it's the part of business that nobody likes to, nobody wants to see, nobody wants to accept, but it is business, and like I said, Mike, it's something that we went through in our other lives, as they say.
It is, and when you talk about lines of work outside of sports, when people are around here for so long, to Trey's point, for sometimes decades at a time, to see that, or any time really, it's just. It's tremendously sad and unfortunately something we've had to deal with a few times over now, but that doesn't make it doesn't make you numb to it when it comes up any other time. It's always a very fresh wound, and so you hope everyone lands on their feet. You obviously wish everyone well going forward for everything they did during their time here, and nothing but the best for that group of people on a tough day.
So a lot of respect from us to all those people that aren't with us anymore, and we wish them all the best. And we will now do what they would want us to do, which is continue on with what we do and continue to do our best for this company. So we move on, and lots to get into today. Again, we got we'll have a ton of talk about Tiger coming up in a little bit. And we've also we'll talk a lot about the Cowboys-Redskins game. This is a sort of a
play-in game.
It's a play-in
game.
It's
a play-in for the possibility of still making the playoffs. We can pretty much say the loser is done, and the winner has a little better of a chance.
Like a La Jolla man, they will cling to life.
There you go.
So we'll see what happens there. All that coming up throughout this show. But first, let's get started with.
It's time for Off the Top.
Whether you like it or not, it's just beginning.
With Golic and Wingo.
All right, Off the Top begins with James Harden. Came 1 point shy yesterday in the win over the Pacers of becoming the third player to average 35 points per game and 10 assists per game for an entire calendar month with a minimum of 10 games.
Pretty impressive. The only two to have done that, Oscar Robertson and Tiny Archibald, remain the only two to do it. Harden scored or assisted on more points per game this month than Michael Jordan ever did in any month. After he got 53 on Wednesday, he finished the month of November assisting or scoring 59.2 points per game. Best of his career and tops over Russell Westbrook, who in March of this year was 58 points, 58.9. LeBron James 56.7 in February of 2010. So, and they had a great month too, by the way, as a team. They were 12-1, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah,
there.
This is exactly what you've looked for and hoped for. If you were the Houston Rockets, you were a part of some of the big offseason moves and acquisitions, bringing Chris Paul over from the Clippers, obviously with eyes on bigger and better things. But it's always great when you get that level of consistency still from your star in James Harden, from a guy who played MVP caliber basketball really the last few seasons and is continuing it over to this season despite having a bit of a different cast around him now.
Absolutely. So things are sort of working right now for Houston. Meanwhile, as we continue.
Off the top.
Not so much.
Not so much.
For OKC. After yesterday's loss to Orlando, the Thunder dropped their 12th game when favored. The most such losses through 20 games in the last 25 seasons. Maybe they shouldn't be favored so much.
Yeah, all 12 of their losses this season have come when they were favored. That's easily the most losses at this stage of the season by any team over the last 25 years. They've been favored in 19 of the last 20 games. It's been so just, Mike, how you talked about new characters in Houston. We have the new characters in Oklahoma City, and right now not working there. 8-12 overall this year so far. During the season, and maybe it's going to take time. Certainly, Russell Westbrook, we were counting the triple doubles like crazy last year, not happening so much this year. So they seem to not be meshing as well as either some people thought, or just because you have some new guys and it's just obviously not as good a team.
Yeah, you really have to wonder how much right now they regret letting Enes Kanter go.
Really?
All right, maybe not as much.
That's, by the way, that's what we call a pregnant pause.
There you go.
Well done. Thanks for letting that one breathe with me, guys.
We did leave it breathe.
In all seriousness, the point about Russ, and you saw some pretty dejected looks at him on the sideline last night, you realize for him the goalpost has probably moved now, right? He got that personal validation that we know he probably coveted last season as a competitor, but now knowing a championship on his resume is the next bullet point that he needs. And right now, the moves that they have made to that end haven't exactly worked out. It's early, but it still looks tough right now.
Those three, Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, they've actually, in the minutes they've been on the floor this year, which has been 432, they have outscored their opponents by 58 points, but it's been some of the other combinations that haven't worked.
That's at the end of the day, that's the thing. Is that going to be? Are those three going to be enough with everything else they have around them? And clearly, that has not been the case so far this season. Westbrook still playing at a very high level. He was the MVP last year, so he's our MVP moment of the week, brought to you by Sport Clips. You watch sports, we cut hair, it's perfect. Sport Clips, it's good to be a guy. We continue with
Off the Top.
And we get into football. Washington and Dallas cling to slim playoff hopes as they meet in Dallas on Thursday night. Cowboys' playoff chances will be at 2% even with a win. 2.
I mean, if the Cowboys with a win at 2%, the Redskins, if they win, it jumps up to 6.7%. Still not great odds, but basically the loser is going to be out of this. And remember, the Redskins in 2015, they won their last 4 games after a 5-7 start, so they finished strong. The Cowboys, they're going to have to finish strong offensively. The last 3 games, under 10 points per game. They do get Zach Martin back. He was in the missed some of the last game in the concussion protocol. He's cleared that, so he'll be back, so that'll help on the O-line, but this is an offense that really needs to get in gear.
You mentioned that the 3 straight games with fewer than 10 points, the first time in franchise history.
Yeah. Yep.
So not the first that you want to be a part of for a group that, again, expectation this year was sky high, and it was the perfect storm of all of these events for them at the end of the season. So clinging to life right now, this is going to be an important one because it's not like this Washington team's lighting the world on fire. So a decent chance to at least start to get things turned around if you can muster anything up, and then spin that into the next week as you continue to get healthier, you continue to get closer to that date of Zeke Elliott returning to your team, December 17th.
No, the game after that.
The game after that.
Christmas
Eve. Okay,
Christmas 24th.
Right.
All right, so going back to Seattle, but just trying to do the most you can to keep it afloat and hope that you still have a crack at it then when he comes back, fresh legs and all.
It's all about how much you can keep your head above water until you get a guy like that back.
Correct, and what makes this so problematic for both teams is what Philadelphia is doing. So just people understand, Philadelphia can clinch the NFC East title this week with a Dallas loss or tie and the Eagles win or tie. And a Week 13 division title clinch would be the earliest for Philadelphia since 2004 in Week 12. That's how long ago we're looking. And by the way, in 2004, they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots.
They're clearly these teams are fighting for a wild card spot.
Yes, absolutely. But that's why all this is so interesting, because they can actually clinch the division this week if Dallas doesn't win and the Eagles don't lose. That's what we're talking about with a Week 13 clinching. We continue with
Off the Top.
College basketball now. Freshman Marvin Bagley III and Wendell Carter each had a double-double for number 1 Duke in its win over Indiana.
The pair have had double-doubles in points and rebounds in the same game 4 times this season, the 2 freshmen. And they've done it 4 times. 3 other times it's been done by 2 freshmen, only once during a season. during an entire season by 2 freshmen going double-doubles. They've done it 4 times already. And what Duke is really doing, because they found themselves in games where it's been tied or close, or they've been losing, and they've been absolute money later in the games. So after Duke, Indiana, they were tied at 75 apiece with 5 minutes remaining. Duke outscored them on a 16-6 run. That's what they're doing. They're doing late in these games. They're getting these runs going and putting these teams away.
They are, and last night, fun to watch. A reminder, IU continues to be one of the most difficult road environments to play in, despite not being nearly as well ranked as their Duke counterpart in this game. And the ACC Big Ten Challenge rolls on tonight. Big one for us. Notre Dame going on the road to play in East Lansing against the Michigan State Spartans.
And we have Jamel Hill coming up at 9:30, so her and I can battle about that, though I am not making a bet.
Yeah,
I'm not making a bet.
You should never make a bet.
I'm saying right now, I'm not making a bet with her. Then the Notre Dame women are playing UConn tomorrow. I'm not making a bet with Rebecca Lobo, as much as she keeps egging me on Twitter to do it. I'm not doing it.
You want to make a bet that you're not going to make a bet?
Yeah, we can make a bet.
We got a bet. We're making a bet that you're going to make a bet.
You think I'm going to make a bet?
Absolutely. I think eventually you'll succumb to peer pressure.
Oh, my God.
Why don't you just let me handle this kind of stuff, man? Put this out to pasture. You're clearly a jinx, by the way. None of your bets ever work out for us. So maybe let someone else handle this.
Maybe I'll do that. I don't believe in jinx, but we'll go.
The us there? I mean, the Golic family or Notre Dame, just so I'm clear here.
Well, we did have
where are we?
We did have basically 20 people in our family go there, so
yeah.
I think you do have some stock options.
Yeah, I would say so.
Somewhere along in there, points were awarded along the way, so we feel personally invested.
I get it. Good for you. And we continue with
Off the Top.
Tiger time, ladies and gentlemen. Tiger Woods scheduled to tee it up at his event. Basically, it's basically a glorified member guest.
Yeah, exactly right.
It is at the Hero World Challenge, which goes to a great cause.
Yes, it does.
But he's scheduled to tee it up for the first time in 300 days after his last competitive round.
Yeah, the one of the biggest times off he had was 465 days, and he came back, and it was the Hero World Challenge last year, and he finished 15th in that. Again, since 2014, he's had 4 back surgeries and played 19 official PGA Tour events.
Wow.
And he's played all 72 holes in less than half of them. And he's missed the cut or withdrew in 10 of them. So I'd imagine expectations are going to be a little more muted this time around.
If I can get through this round without seeing Tiger Woods hunched over in pain on a tee box, I will consider this a win. That's the shot that I've become accustomed to. Not fist pumps, not great shots on 18th greens. Tiger Woods hunched over at the tee box knowing that something has gone awry, a knee, a back, anything.
Well, not only that, but when he came back last year at the Hero World Challenge after all this time away, he played really well his first round, but then I was watching him. He was sweating so profusely. He was so nervous because it had been so long since he'd been out there in that competitive arena. I'm like, Tiger, this is like a fun 3-day weekend thing that we're doing here.
Yeah.
Clearly he wasn't sure what he was going to get to, and we'll see what happens again this year with Tiger. And we'll get into much more with Tiger a little bit later.
Yeah, 7:30 we have Michael Collins on,
absolutely.
Correct? Yeah, he's down there. So
and nobody ever moved the needle in a sport the way Tiger moved the needle for golf.
Without question.
So there's a lot to get into. A lot of people are hoping that we'll see something from that guy that captivated us with so many moments for so many years a little later on. Okay, that's coming up later. That, ladies and gentlemen, was Off the Top here on Golic and Wingo. And we go back as we're presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line on ESPN2 and ESPN Radio, or ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Either way around, it's going to work.
Either way, find us both places.
There you go.
But the benching of Eli Manning continues to draw all kinds of reaction and all kinds of questions about how it went down, why it went down, and the way in which it went down, including a reaction from one of Eli's draft class members. Remember, he was one of 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Ben Roethlisberger was the last. Eli was the first. Phillip Rivers was the second. Eli was actually drafted by then San Diego, and then they made the trade to get Phillip Rivers to go to San Diego and Eli to New York. And this is what Phillip Rivers of the now L.A. Chargers had to say about how it went down with the benching of Eli Manning.
I honestly thought it was pathetic, really. A guy, he's been out there 210 straight games with no telling how many bumps and bruises and injuries for his team. Won 2 Super Bowls, MVPs. The respect he's had in the locker room over the years, really the respect he's gained throughout the league. You feel like the guys earned the opportunity if they are deciding, in fact, to go another direction. You feel like he's earned the opportunity to finish it off.
Now we're getting to the point of everybody is kind of pointing the finger elsewhere. Mike, I heard you talking about it on your show First and Last, where Ben McAdoo is saying, well, I didn't make this by myself. Others made it as well. You have Jonathan Mara talking about the owner. Maybe I should have, I'm sorry I wasn't there. I didn't know he was going to turn down starting, and maybe this wasn't handled the right way. Boy, certainly everybody seems to be in CYA mode right now.
And it just makes you look so...
Youth Association?
Yeah, or something else.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
CYA League, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, everyone, dilly. But no, I
dilly.
I think it makes you look wishy-washy. This came up with Tennessee, where when you come out and you fold to the pressure and you show that, you undermine yourself in all of this. And when you sound like you have doubts about your own process, how is that supposed to give anyone faith in the decision that you made? Like, you made the decision, and we saw this come up yesterday, and we'll hear from plenty of our coworkers that kind of made the point that you did yesterday. From a business standpoint, when you look at this and kind of remove the sentiment from it, are the Giants at least somewhat right in their thought process of, let's try and move this thing forward with who they're going to go with? We can say that it's different because of the parts involved, but when you look at that, if you were at least to come out and present a strong front, if you're Ben McAdoo and say, I made the decision that I felt was best for my football team, if you're John Mara and you say, we stand by the decision that our football people made, we have belief in this process and this coaching staff, you at least look like you're together on this, and you invite a little bit less criticism maybe along the way by displaying strength, and instead you just sit there and pass around the hot potato and pray to God someone else takes it.
Well, that is the thing. Look, from a going forward perspective, it's easy to say he'll be 37 in January. Mm-hmm. He's in his 14th season. How much longer do we think we have him before we need to find our next guy? All that part of it is understandable and relatable. The process in which they got to the decision seems to be the thing that makes no sense. And you mentioned John Mara. He sort of talked about it. He said, I had a conversation with Jerry, the GM, Jerry Reese, a few weeks ago. Don't you think it's time we get a look at these other QBs? He agreed and said, we had a conversation with Ben about that. But then when it all went down, it just seemed like it was for them to say, well, of course we thought he'd be okay with him starting just to keep the streak going.
Right.
Then you don't know that guy.
Right. Very
true. You don't know that guy at all. I mean, what makes a quarterback or a competitor great is the want to compete. I want to be out there. I want to find a way to help my team win. And if you thought, hey, you go do that ceremonial start thing, and then we'll take you out, and you thought that was going to be okay, you don't even know your own player.
Yeah, and he's been there long enough to you think you get to know him a little bit or what he's about. So that was a difficult situation. I get it, and a lot still about why is Geno Smith playing because you think Geno Smith is could be the guy going forward, or is Davis Webb still not ready to be playing? I mean, there's still other questions to be answered here, but the one obviously, and about the team we're going to get into, I know the tanking and all that as well, because I certainly have thoughts about that.
Absolutely. In fact, that was something that John Mara was asked about specifically. Is this sending a message to the team that, hey, we're just mailing it in this year?
That's not the case. I mean, again, we're 2-9. I mean, we're still going to try to win the games. I read something somewhere about we're going to tank the rest of the season. That's complete bullshit. I would never allow that. We're going to try to win the games. We're just going to have to try to do it with a different guy at quarterback.
But you say that, but how can you tell your fans that Geno Smith and Davis Webb give you a better chance to win?
We'll have to find
Manning?
out. We're 2-9. We'll have to find out whether they give us a better chance of winning. Let them play and see.
So, in other words, Mara is playing the
"you play to win the game"
card. Which,
and again, from a business standpoint, we've seen other teams do this.
Yes.
Where if you're done, your season's going to be over, you're going to try a different quarterback to see if you need to go a different direction. So I get that, but if you're tanking, see, I think it's difficult to tank in the NFL with so many people involved. You see what happened with the Lakers last year. They trade away their leading scorer. They sit down another one of your top players. You could evidently see what the Suns doing the same thing.
The Sixers over several years.
Exactly right. So I would have more of an issue with this. Their defense is 31st in the league. Is anybody benched there?
No.
Are they looking at some of the younger players on that side of the ball?
Well, almost every cornerback has been disciplined.
Has been suspended
yes,
at
exactly.
some point. But, I mean, it's all about the players that you put on the field. Because remember, when we talk about tanking, it's not the players. Players who are on the field are going to play. It's about who management puts on the field, maybe in thoughts of losing. That's the whole idea of tanking. But we've seen this before with the quarterback position. But why this is all everybody's getting so crazy. It's the resume and the pedigree of the quarterback that's getting benched.
You mentioned it though, Trey. It's the process by which you got here, and if you trust the way that you came about this decision and you present that to us, that we're confident in the way that we came to this, you're able to absorb a lot more criticism. You're able to take that and use judo instead of karate. You're able to manipulate that and say, we understand the things that Eli means to this franchise, but at the end of the day, we have a job to do here, and we believe that we did it in the best interest of this team and this organization.
Well, yeah, and that's the point. Look, we're 2-9. We're going to try and find a different way to win with a different quarterback. That's not really that accurate, okay? They're trying to figure out whether or not Geno Smith or Davis Webb can be the guy going forward.
Exactly.
Let's just be clear about that.
Sure.
You're not going to say to yourself, hey, the best chance for us to win is not to play Eli.
Without question. That's ridiculous. It's fool's gold to even say that, and I think you look bad in even trying to say that. This is about trying to see if this next quarterback, who the next quarterback of the Giants may be, or if they're still looking.
Yeah, let's just know what it is and what it isn't.
Right.
And then real quickly, because I know we got to get going here, but did you have a problem with Eli running the scout team?
Here's the thing. I don't know if is Eli the backup or is he the third quarterback. Once Eli said he's not going to start, he's just going to play his role, and the other guys are going to get their reps in. Mike, you've been on the field last before me. I mean, then it's just how it works. If you're in the position on the field that you are running the scout team, then so be it. You're going to be running the scout team, and it seemed that Eli did it with no issues.
I can say this because we talk a lot about what should be afforded to a veteran quarterback. I can't imagine Eli is playing quarterback for the scout team unless Eli wants to be playing quarterback for the scout team. So it may have been something floated for him. Maybe it's a way for him to just sort of enjoy the last few weeks of being out here. Maybe it's something that helps him stay engaged. I'm not sure, but we know and believe that he should have been consulted in this decision a little bit more overall. I can damn sure tell you he was consulted in a decision as small as this one that would certainly have ramifications if it was forced on him otherwise.
Oh, you saw players tweeting about that, saying how odd that looked. And Mike's right. Eli had to accept all of this.
Well, according to the story by Jordan Renan, our Giants beat reporter, he said Eli said it was certainly different out there with the scout team.
You think?
Eli ran it and Davis Webb ran it, according to Ben McAdoo after practice. So that leaves us up in the air. Where are we in the rotation of these quarterbacks? Again, lots more that we can discuss about that coming up a little later on Golic and Wingo. Plus, we will get into the Thursday night contest between the Cowboys and the Redskins. But coming up, Tiger Woods back on the course today, 300 days after the last time we saw him competitively with a club in his hand. But what would make this comeback different? Sadly for Tiger, we've had a bunch of these attempted comebacks already.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Golic and Wingo rolling through a Thursday morning on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. But it's now time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. And the Straight Talk headline is Tiger Woods is back. The question is, what is Tiger Woods coming back like? What will this comeback be, and how it will be different from all the other ones? And ESPN's golf analyst Jason Sobel tries to get into that and explain why this comeback might be different.
If you're looking for one difference from this comeback to all the other ones, it's that the other comebacks I felt like Tiger was coming back to golf because what else is he going to do? He's a professional golfer, and if you're a professional golfer, you come back and you play golf. This time I get the sense that he's really missed the game, and he's coming back because he's having fun playing once again. Of course, that's all tied together. He's feeling better, and because he's feeling better, he can play more, and he's playing more, so he's playing better, and he's playing better, so he's having more fun. I mean, that's all tied together, and you can connect the dots there. But I really get a sense that he's happier than I've seen him in a long time.
So there's that side of it.
Right.
There's our expectations, what we all would like to see him do. And I said years ago I'd love to see him break Jack's record. I'd like to see, some records get broken. I would like to have seen that.
Yeah, never not great to watch excellence.
No, it's exactly right. And then once the injury, his home situation happened, but then the injuries, which take away from the actual game, I didn't think he was ever going to do it. And every time he came back, after a 143-day layoff, a 253-day layoff, a 465-day layoff, and now a 300-day layoff, expectations each time were a little less. But the more important thing has to be his expectations. Where is he mentally? Because I'm sure when he was coming back the other times off surgery, his expectation was, I'm going to reclaim my brilliance. But even for him, it has to be, I use the word muted, Mike, a little bit too. Okay, I can't have unrealistic expectations here. It seems like this time, and it took the fourth time maybe, for him to go back and say, let's just kind of see how this thing goes.
So Tigers played 7 competitive rounds in the last 828 days.
Less than ideal.
I said this when I was pursuing my brief stint in the NFL, that in between, I was basically a guy who was a professional workouter in between brief stints of getting cut. Tiger Woods is a professional rehabber with brief stints back in golf. He's technically on the shelf right now, getting ready for his comeback to rehab. So that's the world Tiger Woods lives in now. Trying to reverse that's a tall order. And to your point, manage expectations in this. I said it sort of, jokingly. We're not joking about him getting injured, but to just see him get through a round where he can walk through the entire 18 holes and get past that is a triumph in the world of Tiger Woods.
Aren't you doing that?
Right
You're
now.
waiting on every swing to see if he's going to move a little bit or grab his back or something?
Yeah, well, there's two things here. Number one, you want to remember, you want to see those things from that guy that you remember just being so, whatever, dude, 295 yards out of a sand trap over water. To a green that has a tuck pack pin left and the wind's pushing right, no problem. You say, are we going to see one of those? And to the other side, or are we going to see, are we going to see, grab his knee? I mean, it's just, he I don't know, there was a more, I don't say polarizing, there was a more dynamic guy in sports for a incredible run of years than Tiger. I mean, you just said the word Tiger and people's eyes lit. Well, Tiger, what did he do? What are you talking about? And you just hope that there's some semblance of that still to be claimed from this guy. Because, look, he's past 40 now. And, yeah, we've seen guys win. And Jack Nicklaus, when he won the Masters in 86 at the age of 46, was considered, how old he was. People are being very competitive much later in their careers now. But, like an NFL player on some levels, his body has been through so much. You wonder how much longer it can take doing the things competitively you need to do for 4 rounds, even in something which, as we allude to here, is really a glorified Pro-Am.
And let's be honest as well, Tiger moves the needle. Now, he would need to get to the weekend for the TVs for the weekend as far as moving there. But even Thursdays and Fridays, whenever it's televised, he moves the needle. Always has, always will. But I feel like we should just let you talk about this all the time, Trey. Don't you have a Tiger folder?
I do, yeah. I do.
You have an actual Tiger folder.
Yeah, he was. Well, look, he was one of the most dynamic athletes I ever saw. And
what did you cut out clippings of him?
No,
or something
no.
Like that?
Is this like a real, is this an online folder, or are you going folders IRL?
Here at ESPN, we have a computer system called ENPS.
Right.
That's where we get our news wires from and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I had something that I put together called the Tiger Tracker.
Okay.
And here it is right here. It has, starting in 1996 and going back to 2013, every single win in his PGA Tour career. It's all right there by year and by date and all the majors.
So you did that, huh?
I did.
Yeah.
I was obsessed.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was fascinating to me. And so, yeah, every time I had it.
Smitten a little bit?
2013, his last year, he won 5. He won the Farmers at Torrey Pines, Doral, Bay Hill, the Players' Championship, and the WGC, the World Golf Championship.
Is there like a kind of restraining order going on?
Do you sleep in a red polo?
Not that he's aware of. So, no. But, I mean, I always thought the guy was fascinating. So I'm hopeful to add to the Tiger Tracker in my folder.
Expectations. I still don't think he's going to win another major. Do we think? I mean, I don't even know what to start by saying. Do you start by saying, does he make a cut? Does he finish a tournament? Does he win a tournament? I mean, where do you go?
I think this has to go with really like grades. First of all, can he get through a round without pain?
Yeah.
Okay, so he gets through a round without pain, good. Then, can he get to 2 rounds where he can compete? It's one thing, as we all know, if you dabble in this game, it's one thing to go out there and stripe it on the range, or go out with a buddy, laugh, joke, and then have a couple of really good rounds. Then it's another thing to say, well, maybe I'll play it a little, I bet $5 on this hole. We'll do that, and then play well in that. And then there's the idea of going up against guys that are as good as you or better than you and still showing them that you have the mettle, not only physically but mentally, to hang in there and compete under pressure situations. So that's the process we're going through here. I mean, that's what we're looking through. But I think, again, get in touch with us on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. What are your expectations for Tiger Woods? What do you think would be a successful return starting today going forward? Because literally anybody that says they have an idea of what to expect is completely guessing.
I hope for the best for Tiger Woods. I will not care until it's a major. Like, this today does nothing for me.
Well, hold on a minute. Now, I find that interesting. I do. But to get back to a major, he's got to prove he can compete at a tournament.
Oh, I understand
so
that.
Don't you want to see him? I mean, this is not really. It's recognized, but it's not a sanctioned. It won't go down in the Tiger Trophy
right.
if he wins it,
no,
for example.
Exactly. But, Tiger Woods, we know what the standard is with this guy. I know what I've seen him do, and so while I'll feel happy for the guy if he can get through some of these rounds and get back into playing tournaments, how is that going to get me back to that place I once was? Like, I know what the pinprick I got from Tiger Woods was before that drove it up. I know the Tiger Woods I used to hook into my veins, and this isn't him, so
you need a hit, man.
I need a hit, and it's not going to come until you see him in a major, and then you can go, man, what if he gets one of these guys? What if he catches one of these young guys sleeping? That, to me, already kind of gets me excited. None of this can really replicate that same feeling, and so this is great. I hope for the best for him. I hope dude gets what he wants out of this, but you can't. I at this point, after that number, 7 tournaments in 800,000 days, you can't expect me to care that much.
And the one thing, and this has been gone for years as well, is fear from other players.
Yes.
That now is, that used to be in Tiger's hip pocket, that he had that, and that's gone and been gone, and I don't think really ever coming back.
Well, to that point, and to your point, you just said, can he catch some of these other young guys sleeping? All the other guys used to be scared to death.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when Paul Azinger used to work for us, and he played with Tiger in the final round of the Memorial. In one of those tournaments he's won like 800 times. And he said after Tiger strafed him that day, he said, I'm sorry I wasn't better for you today. I wasn't more competitive. Justin Thomas, the PGA champion who's playing with Tiger around, he said, I want to go out there and kick his ass.
Yeah.
Okay. No one ever said that.
That's exactly
about Tiger Woods.
Exactly right.
You said, I hope to go out there and not get embarrassed.
Right.
And these guys, to your point, they have a completely different mentality than we have of Tiger Woods. Can I just say, as we continue through the debut week here of Golic and Wingo, I want to thank you.
Yeah.
Because you've had some issues turning your mic on and off. I thought I was going to be the one making all the mistakes.
These are the little things behind the curtain a little bit. Cliff can control our microphones, or
Cliff can control everything. Let's be clear. He can control our minds.
Right. Or we can be adults and control our own microphone. So given the choice, we all wanted to be adults here and say, we'll control our own microphone. And then we forget to turn them on.
Yeah.
Well, the difference is you guys have been off in the highfalutin TV world, you especially, towards the end there. We understand what that was. I've been the only one over here grinding for the last year and a half, turning the mic on and off myself. So I watched you falter twice after 18 years. Be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, it's like a rebirth here of learning how to do radio and controlling my own things here. Been a while, and I'm failing.
You're not failing.
Nah, he's failing.
No. I'm going to let you two work that out at home later, okay? You guys figure that out.
Let me have this one, Trey.
We got other things to work out. And by the way, we just read some tweets on the last TV-only segment, and one that we didn't get to is another one about Eli Manning here. It's Daniel. It says, book it. Geno Smith will be starting for the Giants week 1 next year. Whatever rookie they draft won't be ready yet. Do you think that Geno Smith will be the starting quarterback next year?
No, I do not. I'm interested to see what Davis Webb does. Now, does that mean if neither one work out, would they draft a rookie and start him right away? Would you get a bridge quarterback?
Geno is the bridge, isn't
Would Geno be
Geno
that?
Feels like a bridge.
So maybe week 1 would be Geno as a bridge. So that's actually it turns out to be somewhat of an interesting thought. Let me ask both you guys this. Mike, let me start with you. Next year, if Eli's not with the Giants, is he starting somewhere in the NFL?
I would say yes, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that are coming up for free agency this offseason. Now, I get that there's only X amount of jobs, but you've got a lot of names that are going to come up in this group. I feel like Eli will. Eli to Jacksonville feels like Chip Kelly to UCLA. It makes too much sense to not happen.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking. Tom Coughlin has already come out and said that he thought the way it was handled was ridiculous. There's going to be so many options for Eli. There are. Kirk Cousins might stay in Washington, might go to Denver, might go to San Francisco even after the trade of Jimmy Garoppolo. So they're going to be how weird would it be, by the way, if the Giants decide to punt on Eli Manning and somehow he winds up in the division with Washington? And, that rarely happens. But remember, when the Eagles traded away Donovan McNabb, they traded him within the division to Washington. So it's certainly possible. I do believe, without a shadow of a doubt, because he wants to compete, and his body of work this year is not off the charts, dive in the pool, horrible. Peyton Manning, 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions in 2015. He's 14-7, completing 63% of his throws. I absolutely believe he'll be a starting quarterback.
So let me ask you this then. It's so much fun to play hypotheticals. Let's say Kansas City next year goes the route of Pat Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
So now Alex Smith. So Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith, Eli Manning. Kirk Cousins easily going to cost you the most.
Correct.
So you know what you got to pay there. What's the order, or how do you think that goes down? I mean,
that's really
it is. But now again, Cousins is going to cost you a ton compared to the other guys
because he's not getting shortchanged.
No, he is not.
Yeah.
No, and that was the factor in because we know Jacksonville's got a fair amount of cap space. They got a lot of guys already locked up under contract down there. That was the situation. I said I was surprised I hadn't heard Kirk Cousins' name for, but it's all about value, and you can get Eli out of the comparative bargain bin for that with a guy you're familiar with and Tom Coughlin on that staff, who you already see. I mean, Blake Bortles can win with this team, so you assume Eli Manning can do it as well.
Yeah, and again, Doug Marrone is trying to win games this year without throwing a forward pass.
Right.
I mean, he's
really going old school.
He's really sort of put that out there. So it is interesting. There are going to be a lot of names, and the Alex Smith thing is interesting too because he did well with San Francisco, and then they let him go for Colin Kaepernick. So Alex Smith is going to be the one guy that I think a lot of people in these quarterbacks that will be free after the season, people will feel very strongly one way or the other about
exactly.
him. And it may not be based so much in reality as opposed to perception.
And it also is based on where your team is.
Yep.
Are you a rebuilding team? Are you kind of right there and need that one quarterback to take you over the top?
All right, well, see, that's, again, I think this NFL offseason is going to be one of the most interesting we've seen in a lot of years. But speaking of the NFL, when is $89 million not enough? And what would make $89 million enough? That's next. Stay with us. Golic and Wingo.